Okay, welcome everybody. This is On the Road to Success Conversation. And with me today, I have Justin Ford, and he is the co founder and CEO of Javelin Sports app. This is a wonderful free app that's actually out there for the mobile devices, and you can actually do search, communicate, and find sports leagues anywhere that you are. So it's an amazing tool. I am all about automation and all about finding ways to optimize your life. And he created actually an app that facilitates you to connect with other sports people. So with this app, you can find sports leagues of any sports. You can track your records. You can search things. Now that the pandemic, everybody's moving around from relocating from one city to the other. They're going to have an app that they can just find their sports and continue their health and their sports wherever they are. And they can connect and communicate and expand and use something really on their device to stay connected with their sports league. So how about that? So Justin, so great to meet you. I'm so happy that you are a host here. You're a guest here in my
Yeah,
show, and I'm really excited for all the stories that you're going to tell us. So tell us a little bit more about you, Justin, and why did you create this app for the people?
thanks, Carolina. Really happy to be on. Love to chat with a fellow entrepreneur and someone who's interested in kind of the space of getting a new company off the ground. To give you a little bit of background on myself, so growing up, I was a really avid sports player. I did a variety of different things, like played soccer. I was a ski instructor for close to 10 years. I was a really avid rugby player. And beyond that, I played a bunch of other sports, like more casually, right? Unfortunately, I found that after I graduated, I think it would have been high school, I was playing less and less. And this is something that if you talk to a lot of people growing up, they tend to experience the same issue where after they graduate high school or university, they'll kind of switch cities, they'll get a new job, they'll leave their sport network behind. And as a result, the majority of adults will actually never play sports again. So I wanted to build something that would help handle or help fix this problem. And I ended up building the Javelin mobile app.
That is fantastic. That's a great mission because I totally relate. When I've moved around many times and I've met people that definitely after they've moved around too, they can't find their teams, their sports, the way to get together in community, right? To do the sports. And I think what really makes you keep your health and in sports is the accountability that somebody's going to be there. You're going to meet with some other people. You're going to have accountability. If they're going to show up, you need to be showing up because you're part of the team. So the accountability is important. You have a coach usually in the teams, and you have community. You have the social aspect of the sport. So all those three make you a whole person, make you happier, more fulfilled, and not even to mention the effects in your health. So this is a wonderful mission.
Yeah, it's funny that you brought up the kind of community aspect of it, because a lot of people will start playing because, let's say, they just want to get out and get active. But what we found is that what really keeps people coming back season to season, year to year, or even just week to week is the relationships. So you oftentimes start playing once again just to play, but you build a community, you make some friends wherever you're playing, and that's really what keeps you coming back. So with that in mind, we kind of built our app with the main core belief that sports are social. So if we can facilitate those social connections the best way we know how, then we will really create a lot of stickiness amongst our users.
That is great. Yeah, I totally 100% agree. The connections and relationships is the most important thing. And like we have heard over and over every week that relationships is the most important, and you have to spend 70% of your time building relationships. And what a better way to build relationships than to be part of a team and a sports league. This is really I really like it. I know I am a triathlete myself and also an avid sports lover. I am very active, and I definitely know the value of the relationships within the sports. You create a camaraderie, you create a different kind of encouragement, and you create a way to empower each other to push each other to be better at the sport, because it's a team. The sports leagues are about teams. So if the team gets better, only if the individuals get better and the individuals kind of encourage each other, you can message each other, did you train, did you do this? So I do this right now with my colleagues here that do sports as well. I'm doing yoga in a group, so I say, did you do your yoga on your own, did you do extra stuff, so it's really important to be supported by other people. So that's very, very good, very amazing mission. Now, I wanted to ask you, so what were the challenges that you had in this, this show is also on the road to success. So what are the challenges to the road to the success of creating this app? What were the three main challenges that you overcame when you were deploying this app?
Yeah, we definitely faced a lot of challenges out the gate. We bootstrapped most of what we've done. So a big part of it was initially building the team. It can be tough to find people who are really dedicated to just putting their head down and working on whatever it is you're trying to build. For us, putting together a really great team of developers, marketers, everyone who just really believed in our vision was one of the first really big challenges. Especially, I started working on this during my final year at university. So I had never really had experience with hiring people or anything like that. So that was a big challenge, is learning, once again, not only how to hire people, but then how to motivate them, how to keep them excited coming in every day. And then beyond that, oftentimes what you think you know about the industry won't always be what you actually know. One of the big mistakes I made early on is that we tried to go too big too fast. So we wanted to make this go-to app for sports that did everything in the sports industry. And that was too big of a technical undertaking for us. If I could go back and change things, I would have told myself to just focus on one thing and do that extremely well. So we would have probably just been at first just a chat app, like a communication app for sports. And then we would have built out all the other bells and whistles that we have now around that.
How long have you been working on the app since you started? Which year?
So we started in actually, I started working on the business plan in 2016, and then we incorporated March 2017. So it's been a gradual process with ups and downs. Obviously, in 2020, we got hit by COVID. So that was a very big change in the industry for us. That was, you mentioned in the intro that we do some health screening. That was when we introduced that health screening process, just to help people get back and get playing during the pandemic. And then post-pandemic, we've now really been focusing on the return to sports messaging. So try to get people out, get them playing again, get them connected again, because a lot of people kind of lost their social or their sports network during the lockdowns.
Absolutely. So how did you, so you had the challenge of recruiting personnel, the challenge of keeping them motivated in the work, and then the challenge of adapting to new changes in the industry.
Yes.
How,
And I guess the challenge of creating a startup with zero experience, that would be a big one as well.
well, I think a lot of people do the startups with zero experience, because that's what they call startups, right? They start because they want to start something. They don't know, and they just start, right? Like, I think that's okay. That's okay. Of course, as you go along, you learn. You learn every.
No, yeah, you're right. I mean, everyone's going to face that at some point in their life. Even if you don't get into entrepreneurship, just doing something that you have zero experience in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, for us, trying to go in with things with that like fail quickly mindset of I know this is new for us or for the team, whatever we're doing. So let's take a really small bite-sized chunk out of that. Let's try to execute on that as quickly and efficiently as possible. And the most important thing is we're going to learn from that experience. So if this time, like if this execution or if this marketing project doesn't work out, the next one's going to.
Exactly. So keeping a positive attitude and going forward and being the leader from the front, that inspires your team, that tells them to keep on going, that you're going to do things in smaller tasks because they're easy to tackle than just a huge, great idea that's going to be transforming. That definitely, that's a very a common concept from all the CEOs in the world, right? That they take small bites, they have their keep the team focused. So you're doing a great job. So I'm really proud of you. This is really fantastic. And what were the things that you had to research or had to learn to encourage your teams to keep on working?
Yeah, so there's a big school of work behind building up a good corporate culture. This is something that I've probably been trying to focus mostly on recently because it's kind of weird with a startup where at first you're doing everything, right? You don't really have a team, you're prospect or you're doing research on the market, you're trying to build out your product. I'm personally not technical myself, so we had some experiences with like outsourcing, and we also had interns come in and work for a bit before we actually could build out our dev team. So you have to go through kind of that whole process, and then once that's done, you have to make a big shift from kind of the maker to the manager, where now you have people who are hopefully smarter than you working on all these specialized tasks within your organization, and you need to be doing the best you can to make sure they're unlocked so that they're finding success with each of their roles. And a big part of that is just, yes, how can I establish the best culture that I can? There's that saying, which is culture eats strategy for breakfast, and that's very true. I mean, making sure that everyone's coming in doing the right things, is motivated, and is working towards the long time vision in a positive way is how you create a successful team.
That's wonderful. I am a software engineer myself, as you know, and I was the first engineer in a software company that was doing the first electronic clinical trials in the 95, 96. And I remember, the teams, how we were building the teams and how we later did the outsourcing and how we had to also motivate the outsourcing team. And I was the lead for all the outsourcing testers at the end. And we built, a startup from 5 people to 200 and even out to Switzerland where we had a branch. And it's really, I know exactly the pain, of building that, the procedures, the SOPs that you have to create to make it proper, all the different processes for testing. What are the guidelines? What are the standards? What are the testing guidelines? What are the features and the requirements that you want to go? How that works. Now with agile, the agile development is a little bit better, a little bit faster, but still you have to do so many things that are so many balls in the air as the manager, the engineering manager for all the different teams to develop an app or to develop a software. And of course, technology is changing all the time. Technology is changing even with AR and artificial intelligence and machine learning and big data. There's so many things that are going to affect the technology for you and for your app and the growth of the app. I can't imagine how the AR is going to affect your app. Maybe that you're going to have some sort of AR thing in
Yeah,
app.
it's an exciting industry, and it's funny because you kind of start getting this problem of still wanting to be as productive and as fast moving as a startup, but as your team grows, you have to keep everyone organized, which starts to get a little cluttered. I find it really interesting if you look at things like what Google or Facebook did with Alphabet and Meta, respectively. Is yeah, trying to just break things out into different chunks to keep each of your small groups working as if they're a startup is I think a really valuable cultural decision that you're seeing a lot of the big tech companies make.
Yeah, independent startups or independent companies for each of the products as if it's like one whole thing because it unites everything. It makes it very unified, right? For just alone Facebook and just alone Instagram. So instead of having it all together and then, like you said, breaking it in chunks so that it's more manageable. So, but still not having a tunnel vision of seeing everything disconnected, but also having, that's your role, right, as CEO and co-founder, to have a wide vision to integrate it all and see where the market is going. Where do you think the future of sports leagues, online sports leagues, and apps like this is going?
Well, I'm hoping it's going our way. Um, so our big vision is, I mean, right now we have a variety of different ways we help people play sports. So we can help teams. One big example of a user group we have is a lot of people will use either a group chat or let's say like a WhatsApp messenger group to message their friends. So we want them to instead be using Javelin, where it's much easier to just schedule events, see who's going, and then you also have the group chat if you need to talk to people. One of the things we're working on adding is right now, once again, we have this big listing of different clubs or leagues in your area, and we want players to be able to join those clubs or leagues directly through Javelin. So just having one kind of centralized place, it's like the go-to app for sports is what we want to become. So that's what I'm hoping the future is.
So you create events in the app actually to for all the different games that they play, right?
Yes, we have a bunch of different users. So one example would be a coach or a captain who can schedule those events. But we also work with like full sports organizations where we have an executive tier account, which can schedule events for the whole organization and then send announcements and updates to them. But then we even have on the whole other end of the spectrum, pickup groups where people can join and be like, hey, I'm looking for a team to join or I'm looking for a place to play. So whether you're actively playing right now, whether you're managing a club, or whether you're looking for some place to play, we try to hit all or tick off all of those boxes.
Yeah, and I can see how this app can be used by schools, for example. Are you marketing to schools?
It was funny. We actually had a big uptake in the number of schools who use us during the pandemic. So I mentioned previously we released that pre-screening process to essentially just confirm that you haven't felt sick today and you're good to go out and play. It also acted, sorry, as a contact tracing piece where it was you could see the whole list of people who would come and what they'd done on their pre-event check, and that was big in schools. I mean, beyond that, we even had some really interesting users come on and start working with us, like daycares, gymnastic studios, dance studios, even offices where employees are screening themselves every morning. And we still have some offices doing that today.
So just for the health feature of the app.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
wonderful.
I mean, it's a full sports app because we were one of the first pre-screening processes available on the market that you can just quickly go into an app and do. So we had a bunch of uptake when we released that. It was this weird situation where when the pandemic first hit, we actually thought we'd have to close down. We were a sports app. We were just getting kind of traction, and then everything shut down. And we watched our daily active users essentially go to zero overnight. And yet it ended up actually being good for us, surprisingly. So
Yeah, I think that the pandemic would actually benefit you because it's a technology. It's a contactless app where you actually just schedule. You don't have to meet in person to schedule the game or anything, or to check up on communicate with the other sports participants. So I think it's actually it works for you. It works for you during the pandemic, and I could see it exploding and the opposite, right? And actually, you can maybe have accountability to work on your own, to do some training, to yeah. So absolutely, that is, I can see the university. So like that could be great if the universities adopted as a standard or something like that. That would be really fantastic. Universities, colleges, and small schools, and different activities outside, and different groups outside, yoga studios, everything. So that's really fantastic that you have this amazing app. So the app is called Javelin Sports.
yes, it's called Javelin Sports. The company's called Javelin Sports. Our app's called Javelin, which is maybe a little confusing. But there's a variety of different things that we help players do. We're currently actively running pickup groups in Toronto and San Francisco. So those are our two areas. We're actually looking at a number of other places. So, for example, we're running a test in Doha, Qatar right now, just to see what it's like to set up a pickup group there. And it's crazy the amount of uptake it's been getting. Like everyone in that area wants to play soccer, or they call it football. Beyond that, if you're outside of those cities, anyone can go in and create a team for free within Javelin right now. Invite your friends. Once again, it's really easy to schedule events, see who's going. You can send announcements if anything important comes up. And then we also have the group chat. We have polls, so all the bells and whistles you'd expect out of a messenger app. So yeah, if you have an active team that you're looking to help manage, I mean, we have users all over the world using us for that. So I'd recommend you check us out.
Well, that's fantastic. You know, the viewers of my show are actually everywhere in the world because I've traveled everywhere and I lived everywhere. So we have the German community that I have very strong ties there, and I have Italian friends from my singing tours, and the French community from the 6 years I lived there too, and England, and of course Venezuela as well, because my family's there. So a lot of people are actually using sports to kind of alleviate the stress and the difficult times that they live in there. So actually, if it's a free app, they can do that. Is there a subscription model or something, or is it all free?
So we used to have a subscription model for those teams where you would essentially pay us to have a team. We switched to free to help people come back to sports during the pandemic. We're actually adding a payment processing piece right now, so just facilitating payments between sports players. And we're hoping that will actually replace the subscription because, I mean, ideally, we want those teams to be free forever. But for the time being, once again, everything's free. And if you get a team right now, we will grandfather your free
Yeah,
team. So you
awesome.
don't
Yeah,
have to be
yeah.
worried about.
That's fantastic. I'm connected with the expatriate triathlon team in Paris and also the different triathlon teams in Boston. And my brother, in fact, in Venezuela, he's a big trainer, you know, about ultra marathon and training and doing triathlons there too. So I can't imagine all the people are going to watch this. I'm going to see, I'm going to download Javelin on the app on my phone. And I'm going to start creating the team and start connecting with other players, even if they're far away. So maybe creating international teams that are disconnected, right? So this is
Yeah.
fantastic. So I am so happy that you are creating this solution because the more problems you can solve, the more success you will have, the more money you will make. So if you solve the bigger the problem, the bigger the success. So I can't imagine this is going to revolutionize, you know, how to connect and how to create the teams for the sports. And I'm really happy that you came onto this. And I hope that everybody really, really downloads the app, check it out. Also send a message, you know, follow Javelin Sports on Instagram. I think it's called Javelin App on Instagram.
App Javelin.
App APP
APPJAVELIN.
Javelin with J and V as in Victor. So if they want to contact you for more development, let's say there's people that want to join your team of developers, if there are people that want to join your force, that want to invest in your company, and so how do they contact you?
So you can always reach me via email, justin@javelinsportsinc.com. The way I like to get reached out to the most, though, is every new account within Javelin gets a welcome message from us just in your direct messages. If you reply to that, I'm actually the one who reads all of those. So feel free to reply and we can chat about all things sports or anything else you're interested in.
Yeah, so this is a rare opportunity. This is a very fresh app where the actual co-founder and CEO is actually directly messaging you and welcoming you. It's like the times of the MySpace where the guy that owned MySpace used to send you, Tom, right? He used to send you the message. So now Justin is going to send you a personalized message when you create an account on Javelin app. So this is fantastic. Thank you so much, Justin, for joining and sharing your amazing solution to a big problem right now. And I can't wait for them to use your app and have your company explode.
Thanks, Carolina. I really appreciate it.
And your last message?
Yeah, everyone get out and get playing again. We'd love to help you play sports and connect with other players in your area in any way we can.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Take care.